The series asks us to reflect on the instability of value. What does it mean to you that the first collector was willing to exchange a substantial sum for a jar containing something largely immaterial?
It gives me hope. It validates my hope. I think from the moment that it became clear that the air you haven't breathed with yet will never be sold, and it morphed into Unreal Fortune, that became about play as much as waiting. So the fact that someone invested so much money in the whimsy, yeah, it makes me feel hopeful, and it makes me feel light.
Marcel Duchamp transformed ordinary objects through designation and context. In what ways do you see Unreal Fortune continuing or challenging that lineage?
It's a whole new ballgame. In his practice, it was so much more about placing ordinary objects in a gallery setting, hence making them pieces of art. In the case of Unreal Fortune, it's about taking something everyday, and through the power of the internet and the context, that's how it gains value and momentum. It is the same way we progressed from the horse carriages to cars. I think art living independently on the internet is yet another evolution of it.
The title contains an intriguing tension between the words unreal and fortune. Is the work ultimately about wealth, belief, perception, or something else entirely?
You can pull on all the threads of meanings within that. What I was focusing mostly was the unreal in the context of unbelievable and also made up. Fortune also had the double meaning as a metaphysical practitioner. There is a goddess, Fortuna, right? There is this connection to the spirit worlds, but also very tangible, especially now, especially the means now I have access to create more, to create freely, is the tension between the material, immaterial, all over again.
Your work often transforms everyday materials into carriers of meaning. What role does the physical jar play in relation to the invisible or intangible aspects of the piece?
It is a very much a Platonian shadow, so to speak. I do love my physical jars. They've been with me for 6 years until the first one sold. Now I got 9. My relationship to it is the same as to the physical world. I do experience more on a daily. And yeah, still I wonder what would it be like for someone to transform or destroy or release the air after the sale. That would be super interesting.
Many conceptual artworks derive their power from language and narrative. How do you think the story surrounding Unreal Fortune contributes to its value and reception?
It makes it an artwork. Without the story, without the energy I've put into that, without my attention and this continuous nurturing of this project, a jar would only be a jar. I think it's something leftover from my film days that I make up and experience stories the same way I view the world in video shots sometimes, most of the time. The conceptual parts, the materials, I cannot escape the stories behind them.
The first sale marks a significant milestone in the life of the project. Do you see the collector as merely an owner of the work or as an active participant in the whole project?
First of all, shout out to my first playmates. I've waited a long time for the value of my jar to be assigned as yes. I think the next ones are also to be my playmates. I love how it wraps up parts of this project, and I wonder how it will live on, whether they are staying in the collection or they are morphing into doing something interesting from the air from 2020.
Spirituality, science, and personal experience frequently intersect in your practice. How do these different frameworks inform the conceptual structure of Unreal Fortune?
In the spiritual sense, the original work, it was an impulse. I do get visions of the end product, and I try to catch up to them. I really resonate with what Michelangelo said about sculptors already being in the marble. His job was just to chisel them out. Spiritual, scientific. I borrowed the term superposition from quantum mechanics because it was a way for me to experience a bubble of reality, of something that could be, is not, and that could continue until something happens, someone sees me, someone notices. That's how I experience the world mostly. I do have my intuitions, and I also see and experience and have language of materialism to see that perspective so I can actually interact with people.
Some viewers may perceive the work as a critique of the art market, while others may see it as a sincere exploration of value. How do you position yourself between those interpretations?
I think it's another superposition. I remember the first time I saw artist shit in a can in the museum in Milan. Sideway. I was on a pilgrimage to see all the artworks in person that I learned and got hammered into my head for art history. And I was going from museum to museum, and I was not impressed. I was questioning whether it's art at all. And I went back there 2 times since, and my perspective on it changed dramatically. There is an element of artist shit within my jars. There is the hubris, there is the ego that if I am an artist and I touch something and I lick it and I breathe onto it, then automatically it becomes valuable. And I love that for myself. There is also the critique that was underneath the initial some air you haven't breathed with yet, which was paying attention to the natural resources. The thoughts that you could sell air because it was pure, it did occur to me only as a comedic proposition, but then I went on to do some research, and a company exists that sells air from Highlands. I think that says more about the state of the earth than my jars, to be honest. Then we have the immaterial. Mm. It's detached, it's play, it's light, and I wanted art to be fun. And I don't want to be preachy ever. I don't believe in that. But I do believe in the gospel of whimsy.
As additional jars enter collections over time, do you imagine the series accumulating meaning in the same way that financial assets accumulate value?
That depends on what people do with them, right? I would love to be one of those female artists who are very well paid while they are alive and hopefully young. Yeah, that would be cool. But I wouldn't mind my jars being a remnant of me on Earth when I'm gone. I'm super curious what happens, and also I'm giving up control. I'm giving up outcomes to what happens after the sale. My part was to connect the observer and the object being observed, which was the buyer and the jars.
Looking back at the moment when Unreal Fortune existed only as an idea and comparing it to today after the first sale, what has surprised you most about the journey of the piece?
How long it took? Oh, how long it took. That was usually when I follow through on a mission, on an intuition, the world realigns itself and it's easy and it's flawless. But this time, I had to do actual work. I had to do boots on the ground promotion. I'm not a fan. I would rather float. I would rather cast a spell. I think the way I was forced to grow up, to adjust, to be so secure within myself, not to squander the money but actually invest it wisely, not to spend it on there was a vision once to go and party for a week without stopping. And I'm super glad it happened now with my level heads, with my dreams being bigger, better, and more nourishing. What else? The way it happened also. I couldn't have imagined, and I think that's why it worked.